Hello, everybody, and thank you for checking us out. This is, we'll call it episode 0 of Tech Yeah, a nice little prequel to the show where I sit down and interview our co-host, Bill Ferrelli. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey, what's going on? Well, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I am Bill.
And this is Tony, and yeah, we're just here kind of sitting down, want to have a one-on-one chat, and kind of get a feel for who Bill is. You guys have seen us together on streams, and we've gamed together for my streams and other things we've done, and let's just kind of get a feel for what is the Bill.
Felt like a good episode 1.
Yeah, a good episode 1. Let's
Good jumping off point.
feel each other out. You'll learn about you. We'll learn a little about me, and we'll just kind of get a little rounded story about what's going on here.
Get into my head. It's dangerous.
I want to. So let's just start with a little bit about your background. Where'd you grow up? How'd you end up here, basically, on the West Coast?
I'll give the abridged version of what got me here. I was born in Northern California in the Bay Area and then moved up to Seattle when I was 2. And that's basically where I grew up, in the greater Seattle area. So just east of Seattle for a handful of years, but mainly in a little town called Gig Harbor, Washington.
That sounds beautiful.
It's a gorgeous.
Sounds like
it's a gorgeous little town.
It does. It sounds so lovely.
Yeah, it looks exactly how it sounds.
Oh,
So if you've ever seen the footage of the of Galloping Gertie, the Narrows Bridge falling down, there's that classic black and white footage of the bridge that was like rocking up and down and then fell over. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's in every like engineering disaster film or show on TV. That footage is facing Gig Harbor. So that's the little town that I grew up in.
So that's kind of the namesake for Gig Harbor, is that video.
Yeah.
That's like the thing that came out of Gig Harbor.
That's what we're known for.
Okay, so what happened after that? I know you played some basketball. I know there's some sports.
Yeah, so my entire adolescence revolved around basketball. So complete jock from 3rd grade. I made the decision really, really young that I wanted to play basketball in college and get a scholarship to do that. So my entire life from 3rd grade through college was based around that goal. I had a ton of different interests and a bunch of different skills and things that I liked to do, but since I had made that my number one priority, everything else took a backseat to that goal. So I played at a relatively high level throughout high school, on travel ball, traveled all across the world basically playing basketball, won dunk contests, played against a lot of guys that are even still playing in the NBA right now. So that had been the focal point of my life.
Can you still dunk?
I probably could if I really stretched for a long time, but I came back to dunking after I finished college, a handful of years later, and I had forgotten how to jump. And I was like shocked that I could barely touch the rim. I'm 6'5", so I have like a height advantage, but obviously you need some athletic ability to dunk other than just height. I know people taller than me that couldn't. And then I realized like, oh yeah, I need to use my feet, like my calves. So I was like pushing off with my toes, and then I could finally dunk again. So there's definitely skill beyond just the athleticism to that, but I could probably get one dunk in right now.
Something that's like repetition too, right? Like I remember when I was in high school and like more athletic, like I wrestled and I had a basketball hoop at home. I played basketball every day, and like I could definitely like get my fingertips on a 10-foot rim. You know what I mean? Like I'm 6 foot, like I'm not short, you know, but to me I was like, man, I can't believe I can touch the rim. And but it's like, if you have that repetition of your body, you try every day. It's like at some point you're going to kind of figure it out. You're going to learn the movements required.
If you're in the touching the rim zone, there's definitely a a method to do it. Like whether you take one step, whether you go off 1 foot or 2 feet or swing your arms, there's like, I don't want to say a skill to it, but there is like a way to do it that you could practice that suits your jumping ability.
I did the 2 foot squat and launch.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was
flat 2 feet.
I was a 2 foot jumper.
Yeah,
I could barely dunk well, like in a game situation off of 1 foot. 2 feet, I could get the rim to my elbow. So there was like a huge swing of like, yeah, I can dunk off 1 foot, but it's not like, it wouldn't impress anybody. To like off of 2 feet, I could windmill, I could go under to my legs.
You could load up that big.
I could just, oh man, dude, that's some of the coolest things I've ever done still to this day is some of the like dunks that I've done on people. So after high school, I did reach my goal. So I got a scholarship to play basketball at Poly Pomona. It was a high-level D2 school. They have since won 2 Division II national championships. We made the Western region when I was there. So it was very interesting. And this, I could spend an hours talking about that dynamic between Division I, Division II, what the differences are, what the what the different levels entail. We played at, a number of different D1 schools like Stanford, UCLA, and Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, San Diego. So we played some of, some really high level Division I teams, and the gap is really in height and athleticism. Skill wise, I would contend that any Division II, the top tier Division II schools are on par skill wise with some of the D1 schools, but they're just bigger and faster.
They just don't have the talent of those people. Yeah. I think it's, as you, even watching college sports and then watching like professional sports, it's like the way that the funnel filters, and it's so tippy top once you get a layer up that it's like, well, when everyone is 6 feet taller and everyone is 50 pounds heavier, it's like, could you be competitive against that? It's like it's not even skills at that point. It's laws of averages that you're dealing with.
It's a lottery. Yeah. It's a physical lottery. It's a genetic lottery. You need the build. So you need to have a body type that is conducive to your athletic ability. So like Steph Curry is a little guy, but he's quick. LeBron James is a big guy and he's strong. So you need to win the genetic lottery in your body type. You need to have the athleticism to go along with that. So whether it's pure strength or speed, and then you have to have the third thing, which I think is the biggest differentiator, and that's durability. And that's where I lacked. My body did not hold up. My sister was an Olympic caliber swimmer, and she made the Olympic trials when she was, I think, 13 or 14, like hugely gifted athlete. But she lacked the durability. There's something in our genes where we had the other two, but we're missing that durability gene, and she blew out her back swimming. It's a very rare injury to have as a swimmer, but it was just like the repetition of the twisting motion. She popped a couple of discs, and she never was the same. So I look back at, all of the kids I grew up with playing that, had to, some combination of those 3 things and never made it. And then they're the kids that did have 3 and they're millionaires.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like I club wrestled like all through middle school and going into high school, and did really well like in club tournaments and then in lower level high school tournaments. And like you said, I think durability was the biggest thing. By the time I got into high school wrestling and was wrestling year round and going to really intense practices,
takes such a toll.
Like my body immediately was just like, we can't do this. Yeah. Like we cannot maintain at this level. Like my shoulders would just hurt all the time. I started to like get like dislocations, and you know what I mean? Like your body just is just like, no, like you're not this person.
And you need to go at that pace in order to be competitive from a skill standpoint.
And so like it's hard too, because I think like I don't consider myself like super smart, but I'm a reasonably intelligent guy, and I think intelligence goes so far in sports. You know what I mean? I think being clever in some ways is better than being fit in some ways in a lot of sports. But yeah, that durability, like being a clever guy is not going to make you the strongest guy. Like in wrestling, being clever was such a big part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But like,
but if you got a bad back, being smart's not going to help.
It's not going to help, right? Like it's not going to help.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So I might know the answer to this question already. But who was the person we'd recognize most that you played basketball with? Is it who I think it is, or is there like did you play with other people that we might consider famous?
Well, okay, so I know where you're going with this. So there's two answers. The person like that I played with on my own team, I will give you one answer, but the people that I played against, I mean there's a bunch of guys in the NBA that you would know. Isaiah Thomas, I grew up with him. I played against Russell Westbrook, a bunch of guys that are now in the NBA. But as far as the most famous, most recognizable person,
before you answer that, who? Because I know where we're going to go, and I don't want to like waste this question. Who impressed you the most? Like, I'll tell you this because I can remember playing sports as a kid. You'd play against that kid, and you'd be like, where did this person come from? He's an alien. And who did you meet on the court where you were just like, this guy is something that I cannot comprehend. Like, I could never defend this person.
Well, there are a lot of guys that I could never defend.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the next level.
I was not. That scholarship didn't come from my defense ability. There was a guy on my team named Melvin, and he had a couple of really bad ACL injuries, and he could jump unlike anybody I'd ever played with. It was like disgusting how high he could jump, and I saw him post his first ACL tear. That dude, he did some, when he was healthy, there were a few times where I just was like, dude, that is freaking insane. It's a hard question because I played against so many guys, and like looking back on some of them, like Greg Oden is a name that probably everyone has forgotten by now, but he went number 1 in the same draft that Kevin Durant was in, I think. But I played against him, and I mean, he's like 7'2", just a freaking bull. And his point guard would go down the lane, throw up a ball, he'd grab it and dunk it every single time. So what we did is just make me guard him. I was the biggest guy on the court on my team. I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. And the whole game, I would be the point guard. I brought the ball up and went right around Greg Oden and like hit a jumper like 4 times in a row, and they had to pull him. So there are guys that like him where if you tried to match up against him with his strengths, you just get crushed. And that's like one of the dudes that I can like picture. Like there was no way to stop him other than just doing something weird.
And if you had like a program around him built around, like, like Shaq, right? You put him in a professional program that's built to facilitate a big man. Yeah. Then it's just like, I don't know what you're supposed to do.
There's nothing you can do.
Which what happened when Shaq played. It was just like no one could do anything.
Yeah, and I think Greg Oden would have been like maybe not Shaq level, but he was just a big dude. I mean, he just crushed at Ohio State and then had a couple of foot injuries, and now he just doesn't play anymore, which is kind of sad. But
it's amazing how like general athleticism has become like the key mark of like all sports, right? Like we're seeing like basketball players transcend into football, and like LeBron James could play football.
Oh, he would be the best tight end.
Yeah, he'd be the best tight end that ever played in the NFL.
Ever played football.
Like we're really seeing this. Like, yeah, if you're 6'7", 260, yoked, like it don't matter. We'll put you in any sport.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, like nutrition, strength and conditioning, the equipment. It's so good now that the athletes are just ridiculous. I mean, like I said, I could get the rim to my elbow, and I thought, I mean, I was like the most unbelievable basketball player in my hometown, that's ever seen, and maybe since. Like I just athletically, I was just making people look really stupid, and I'm not good enough to tie some of the shoes of these guys. It's insane.
Okay, we've broed out long enough. So
that's enough sports ball talk.
That's enough sports ball talk. I know everyone's like, "What am I listening to?"
Yeah, is this tech? Yeah, or is this sports? Yeah,
this is bro fest. But what I was getting at with the story is, who's the other most famous person you played basketball with?
This is such a ridiculous story. So Tony and I work together. We work together. So we I told one of our coworkers that I went to Cal Poly Pomona and I played basketball. And they didn't believe me. They kind of like rolled their eyes like, oh, you probably just say that because you're tall and you probably get that all the time. I was like, no, I really did. I played basketball.
Well, some people play sports, but they don't like play the sport.
Yeah,
right?
at a relatively high level. And I would consider getting a full ride to a D2 school pretty high level. I mean, that's, the top 1% of people that play basketball. Maybe 2%. Give me a break. So I'm like, no, I played at Cal Poly and it happens to be, kind of down the street from our offices here where we work. And one of the coworkers said, do you know who the most famous Cal Poly Pomona basketball player is? And D2 basketball is not very popular, so it was a very bizarre question. I first thought he was joking, but then he was actually asking, like,
not a lot of big names.
I'm like, Cal Poly. Man, I don't know. Jeff Bonds played overseas, and he's just like looking like, what? Who are you talking about?
He's huge in Turkey. Okay,
yeah, he's like really big in Turkey. Yeah, Larry Gordon is like really big time in Germany. So he looks to our other coworker and he says to her, you watch him all the time. So she lights up. Her eyes got really big and turns to both of us and just goes, oh, Guy Beam? And are we allowed to swear in this? Are we?
Oh, yeah, we're allowed. So this is a free-flowing conversation.
Okay, cool. So I look at her and I went, what the fuck has Guy Beam done? It was a name that I hadn't heard in like 9-10 years. And I was just like, and they both looked at me and went, wait, you know Guy Beam? I went, yeah, I know Guy Beam. Like, why would he be famous? Like, what the hell are you talking about? So our coworker looks at me, he's like, dude, Guy Beam is Dr. Disrespect. And I went, you have got to be shitting me right now.
In the flesh.
Guy freaking Beam, who I have stories that I don't necessarily want to be the originator of making them public.
There'll be more episodes. We could do them later.
But like, Guy Beam is Dr. Disrespect. And because he's got, his persona is, kind of a costume. He's got the glasses and the mustache. I didn't know him with the mustache. It like blew my mind. And I had the very next day I had an alumni basketball game event and went there and went to my coach and was like, Coach K, do you know what Guy Beam's doing right now? He's like, oh yeah, I watch him every Monday.
Like, I did not know this part.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you knew that Guy Beam is Dr. Disrespect? He goes, yeah, he's a millionaire. Like, he's driving around Lamborghinis and playing video games all day, and we're still playing basketball in Kellogg Gym. Like, dude, I could not, because I knew Dr. Disrespect. Yeah. He was one of the, one of the streamers that kind of introduced me to PUBG, which then got me into building my first PC. Not that I'm like a huge Dr. Disrespect fan. It's not like I don't like him, but it wasn't like, I'm not a subscriber or anything.
Yeah,
like I knew of him. Like, I'd watched, a number of his videos, so I knew that he existed. And it took me at least 4 days to wrap my head around the fact that those two worlds had collided in that like really bizarre way.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's an incredible story.
So freaking weird.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Disrespect, especially at that time, like when I heard of this story, when we were like doing our stream, or when you told me, when Andrew told me outside of it, I was just like, it blew my mind, because he was the biggest person on Twitch at the time.
Yeah, big time. I mean, he's still the top 5 at least, right?
Yeah, if not higher.
Yeah,
than
if
that,
not
probably.
3.
If not 3.
Yeah.
And the way he's introduced like theater into Twitch has been kind of, I feel like, revolutionary for
big
the
time.
platform,
Yeah, it's super
right?
unique. Yeah,
super unique and super interesting. Like, it's fun to watch. He might not be the coolest guy on stream, but it's definitely.
I think he's probably polarizing. I mean, I enjoy watching. I don't watch all the time. I do watch, and now more that I know who he is. But I will, we'll maybe share some stories in future episodes. But I will tell you, in general, Dr. Disrespect is not much of a character.
Yeah, I believe that.
That is Guy Beam.
Yeah, and like. I think the character suits him well, right? Like, he couldn't do it that well if it didn't have some truth behind it. So I think, like, he gets to kind of play into it. He gets to kind of live out his what am I trying to say?
It's like the extremes of his actual personality.
Yeah.
Like he's uninhibited as much as he wasn't before, but yeah, that's how he really is.
And we all have, like, I don't want to call them fantasies, but we all have an edge of our personality that we know is off limits. You know what I mean? Like, your brain thinks crazy things and you're like, I can't say that.
I don't
like,
want to say that in
I'm
person.
not that person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be that person. I'm not willing to be that person. I won't be that person.
I don't want to get HR involved.
Yeah, but when you're Dr. Disrespect, like, you just go straight to the edge. You know what I mean? And I think that's what makes it so fun, is that there's some authenticity to it that he probably wouldn't show in his real life, right? Or his daily life, right? Like,
you'd be surprised.
Probably. Maybe it'll, yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. So speaking of Dr. Disrespect and Twitch and streaming, you found a lot of success streaming your super cool airplane games.
Yes, airplane games.
Yeah, your really fun airplane games. So tell me what your experience has been like with Twitch and streaming.
Yeah.
And both like from a getting it set up, like figuring it out kind of standpoint, and interacting with and creating an audience.
Yeah. So I built my first PC about 1.5 years ago, and I was living back up in Washington for a while, and to be brutally honest, it was in the middle of the winter, and I just needed something to do when it was, like 7 months of gray and rain. So I went down the rabbit hole of building my PC, did all of the research, all the YouTube channels, Jay's 2 Cents, Paul, Kyle, Linus, all the major YouTubers, tech tubers, I guess, and built my computer. And it was kind of, I went into it blind in like what games I wanted to play, really. Like, there was a couple, like I wanted to play PUBG, I wanted to play Roller Coaster Tycoon. Like, there's some games that I couldn't play on console that I just I wanted to play, and I used it as an excuse to build the PC. And it was, I think, like maybe a month after I had built it that I sat down and I went, holy crap, I could probably run like a pretty cool flight simulator. And I hadn't played, or I hadn't used a flight simulator since freaking 95 probably.
Were you already like taking classes for flying, or this was the first?
This was just, I had, my dad's a pilot, aviation is in my family, but it was kind of like a missing part of my family. So there's a background to it, but it wasn't anything that I was necessarily active in, other than like going to a random airport diner with my wife every once in a while. Just, like that was kind of a thing we had always done even through college. Her uncle was an aspiring commercial pilot. He was killed in a small plane crash before she was even born. So she had an interest in flying as well, coincidentally, when we were in college. And then we went to a flight school and went, ooh, we're poor. We don't have the,
Yeah, it's intense.
Oh, my
super
God.
intense.
Yeah, so I got the flight simulator just because I had the PC to run it. And I was like, holy crap, this is kind of cool. I got like a cheap yoke and throttle set up and just started like messing around. And I remember like it was yesterday sitting at the computer, and there's like a cheater, start all engines button, and you can go fly around.
Go, baby, go.
Yeah,
button.
just like whatever. Little hotkey thing. So I had done that a couple times and flown around just to do something. And I was like, okay, well, now I want to try to do this for real. And I remember sitting on the ramp in this, Cessna 172, which is like as simple of a plane as you can get. And I could not figure out how to turn the thing on. I didn't use checklists. I didn't use anything. I was just sitting in there going like, I have no idea what to do. I didn't even like think to go online to look up a checklist. So I call my dad, who has been a pilot for years. And I said, Dad, I'm sitting here on this ramp trying to start the Cessna 172. I cannot get this damn thing started. What do I do? So he goes, he's flown 172s before. So he's going, okay, well, he's going through his like mental flow. And he's like, all right, you got the master switch on? I go, those are the red switches, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, okay, those are on. Do you have the key turn? Like, yeah, it's on. Okay, you see the red plunger looking thing? Is that pushed in or pulled out? I go, it's pulled out. He goes, okay, you want to push that in? That's the mixture. If that's out, it won't start. He goes, now try it. Started right up. And I was like, it was like that. actual moment was the epiphany moment where I went, holy crap, this simulator is so real that I can talk to my dad who knows nothing about computers, like who gets scared by his flip phone, and he can walk me through starting this plane up in the simulator.
So was that like a connection moment for you guys? Was your dad like, was he into it?
No, he hates video games so much that he still is just like, Steve, go fly the plane for real.
My dad would definitely like entertain that. You know what I mean? If I was like, oh, I found, I'm trying this thing that you're really into, he would have been like, oh, like you need to show me that, or like
he's entertained it a little bit. I got him on a stream before, and he's like mildly interested in it, but he's so old school that he can't, like he's intimidated by technology, but he doesn't want to admit that he's intimidated, so he just avoids it. So I made this had this epiphany moment where I can actually learn how to fly using this computer that I just built with this program that I just bought on sale. It was on sale on Steam, which is what I'm like, holy crap, this is on sale. Sweet, I can get it for $40. And that took me down this path that has been so much fun and could potentially have changed the trajectory of my life. Not to get like super like weird about it, but so I started like taking it kind of more seriously than just like flying around and hitting the start all button, and started doing some random flights and started playing around with different planes and different airports. And then I went, because I kind of got into the tech tube thing, building the PC, I was like, I was doing that for a living at the time. Like I was managing a YouTube channel for the company I was working for. So I was like, cool, I should just start making YouTube videos on this. Like this would be kind of fun. So I started making kind of like 15, 20-minute YouTube videos on just random flight sim X-plane stuff, where like, hey, will this thing take off at this airport if it's, overweight, or what's it like flying into this weird airport that's in the middle of a valley, or I'm going to take this plane and see how high I can fly it, and like try to break the physics engine in the simulator. So I think it was like the fourth or fifth video I did. I took an X-15, which is a solid fuel rocket plane. And it was like 60s or 70s technology, but it was for a long time. And it may even still hold the record for fastest flight. I mean, it's like, I don't even want to quote the numbers, but it's some ungodly Mach number, like Mach 6 times the speed of sound or some ridiculous thing. It gets dropped by a B-29, or B-52. And it's like, yeah, totally crazy. It goes in a straight line super fast. Yeah, for like 2 minutes and it stops. So it's solid liquid, it's a solid fuel rocket. There's no fuel on board and whatever. So I took that and I go, let's just see how far it can go. So I just pointed it up. I started I would burn it and then refuel it up. So I would just like go into the menu mid-flight, add a bunch of fuel, reset it, and then keep going. And I just kept doing that. It was just like a total like F around like video, like how high can this thing go? How fast can it go? I'm in space in a plane that's not supposed to go in space, and just still climbing. I'm like 5 million feet. Like I can see the Earth, and like X-plane, like blessed soul, is like hanging in there with this ridiculous stuff that I'm doing, just going millions of miles an hour, insane numbers. Got kind of like bored of that. I'm like, well, like I don't know. This seems like it's just going to keep going
forever.
Yeah. So I'm like, let's see if I can get it back down to Earth. So I like tried to aim it back down to Earth, and I went from California to basically Florida, going straight up. I mean, if I was going horizontal, I could have probably circumnavigated the world, but I'm going down, and it was, my RAM eventually crashed because it's trying to load in a bunch of scenery at like
Mach 6,
15 times the speed of sound, and it just like the sim crashed and whatever. So I upload that video, and it was like 20 minutes long, and now it's at 15,000 views. And it like just took off, and it was a stupid, dumb video that I did, and it took as long as it was to make. Like it was 20-minute video. It took me 20 minutes to make and upload. So that was like, dude, there's enough people out there interested in flight sim videos and aviation and stuff where I could do this with minimal effort. Like this is just what I am doing anyway. Like I would have done that anyway, and just record it and post it. and maybe it turns into something. So fast forward to, coming here and working with you, Tony, and streaming with the Nuevo Huevos guys. And I was like, I could probably make my YouTube videos live, make them a little bit longer, do some flights. So I started doing the live streaming of of my X-plane flying, and then was like, why? I need to just do this. Like, this is just too much fun. Like, I just got bit by the aviation bug. I'm watching aviation videos online. I'm going to airports, watching the planes take off, and, going to flight museums and all this stuff. I'm like, I should just fly. So I take a couple of discovery flights. Which not that it's a competition, but like crushed the discovery flights. The CFI that was taking us up was like, how do you know like where all the buttons are? I'm like, because I fly in a simulator.
Yeah, so familiar with everything.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And I made a couple of videos on the connection between the flight sim and the real world plane and how it connects. And basically all I stream is preparing for and debriefing from real world flight lessons. So I'm now like kind of fully into flight school, not at like any breakneck pace. I'm just doing it like every other week. I'm doing a lesson because it's so damn expensive.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh my God. So I'm kind of doing that slowly, but because I have the simulator and this online community of real world pilots kind of helping me as I'm flying, as I'm streaming, along with this plugin called Pilot Edge, which adds real world air traffic control that happens to be like focused in the area that I fly in Orange County. So I go to John Wayne, the airport I fly out of, in a plane that looks almost identical to my plane, and make all the radio calls that I do in the real world. And I just repeat that over and over again on stream and interact with this, really cool community of guys that are, nerds like we are in terms of, technology. They're all on computers, they're on Twitch, they're on Discord, but they're also aviation enthusiasts and pilots and, sim enthusiasts. So I have like relied a lot on their expertise, which has helped me kind of improve my simulator flying, which then improves my real world flying. So when I go into the plane with the CFI, I flip all the switches, pull all the toggles, flip all the levers. I know I switch those around, and get on the radio with air traffic control, and the CFI is just sitting there with his his jaw on the ground, going like, "What the hell, man? Like, where did you learn all this?
Who taught you?
Who taught you all this?" And I'm like, Finbar. I love flying 83. Like all these guys that are like, watching my stream, helping me out, and just obviously like learning real world material and then, practicing it in the sim. And it's been freaking crazy. And it's grown really fast, numbers wise, like just follower count, subscribers, the viewers that I get, considering that if it was 10 people, I'd be super stoked.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, because I'll say, my own personal streaming experience is like, I don't really have that kind of hook, and watching your success has been motivating. Like it definitely makes me jealous to see you like have so much success, right? But it makes sense, right? Like to me, I think, especially as I stream more and as I create my community, I really see the way the hooks get set in when you really have shared experience and shared interest, and you give people kind of a consistent place to be and to kind of speak on those interests. It's super fun as the person streaming, and it's super fun as the person watching to be a part of that. Like you really feel like you're building something on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. And coming from, like my career in marketing and content creation and stuff, I've always, I've been forced to think of things in a way that was compelling from a content perspective, but also from a monetary perspective, where you need, if you're looking at it from that perspective, and I know that we've both been asked like, hey, how do we start streaming, or what do you suggest? And we, the answer that I've heard even other people say is just like, you're trying to do this for money, you're going to fail. And I'm not. I'm trying to do it for the experience to save money. But if you're doing it for that reason because you want to be the next Dr. Disrespect, it's probably not going to work. But if you love what you're doing and you would be doing it anyway, that's the first thing. But if I could give an actual answer to that question, it's stream something that has a purpose, that is going to bring somebody back to your stream, assuming you don't have some personality characteristic where it doesn't matter. And that's where I think our stream downstairs with Newegg, I think a lot of what brings people back is not the games that we play, but it's our personalities and like the ensemble. There's some part of it where it's, they want to see us play the new game or, an indie game and just see it. But most of the highlights from our streams have always been the banter between ourselves or between us in the chat. So there's like a showmanship portion of it where if you understand that you need to have a personality where you can be smart, witty, you can add something to the conversation or kind of conduct the conversation between chat, like where a lot of what I do is like taking in some information and then filtering it back out to the people that also might be interested in knowing it. So if I do something wrong and someone in the chat says, hey, if you're in a Baron, you want to, blue line is best glide speed for, single engine performance or, some crazy thing, I have to take that information from the chat and then regurgitate that in a way that, one, I understand it, but also to help, the other people watching understand it as well. So it's like I have the real world experience from my flying that I can give, like, hey, at my, at this airport in the real world, I'd really be doing this, or hey, this is cool because this is exactly how it's like in the real world. That adds a level of interest that goes beyond my personality or the actual game that I'm playing.
Well, it's like it's building an actual relationship. That's the kind of thing I notice too about like our streams and what we do downstairs is, and maybe it means we're approaching it wrong, right? Because we really do build relationships with the people that come in our audience, and we try and nurture those relationships. And I'll tell you, as like a digital marketer, that's probably not it's a strong brand strategy, but it's not a strong monetization strategy, right? Because, as like the key to this game is impressions and conversion funnel, right? Like get the impressions, give people something to click through to or something to convert on and create conversion. And that's how you're going to, like you're saying, anyone's trying to make money streaming and that's your goal, like how do I make money streaming? That's how you do it. It's digital marketing 101. You spend some money, you get eyes on your stream, and hopefully you have something that those people can convert on, and you're going to get a specific amount to convert, and you got to continue to drive traffic, right? And that's not necessarily like what I have been doing with my stream or what you have been doing with your stream. Really, I think all the success we have had has been from real like relationship building. Like I feel like these people have become friends, And I think
100%.
And I think that's so much. It's so much more rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've already met some of my followers already. Like we've chat on the Discord, and the guy's going to be in town, so we arranged to meet up and have some beers, and it's freaking crazy. But the problem, the big question that you have to answer or ask yourself is, you can get one person to watch a stream, to watch any stream. No matter what you're playing, no matter what you look like, no matter how your stream's set up, you'll get one person in your stream, believe it or not. And it's getting that person to come back. Yeah. And once you've hit something that's going to get that one person to come back, more people will start showing up. And as long as you can just keep that momentum going, you'll have a successful stream, or you'll have successful content. But I'm definitely not naive enough to think that it's anything that, I mean, I am fortunate that I've kind of fallen into something that, one, I'm really passionate about, but two, there's kind of like a gap in the market and is interesting enough that people will come back to watch. Because even if you're just stopping by once, I show you what it's like to actually fly a plane and what pilots actually hear. You can hear air traffic control clips on the news, and it sounds like just a bunch of gargled mess. If you come into one of my streams in 10 minutes, if you just ask a couple of questions, I can tell you a few things that's going to make all that jargon sound like you'll be able to follow it a little bit. And I think there's like a innate curiosity in that. I mean, everyone's been on an airplane. Everyone, has flown commercial for the most part. And, you see planes flying over all the time. So there's a curiosity from that perspective. So if you can find something where someone is like legitimately curious and can only find, and obviously it's an exaggeration, but can only find that information by watching your stream, it's going to be, you're going to be successful. But just to like sit down and play Dota for 5 hours and just sit there, like you're going to get some people that are going to be interested. But if you're not like, super good at it, or can give them tips, or can give them a reason to come back to your stream again, it's going to be really tough to get the ball rolling.
Well, I think like, I think the takeaway from that, I think the thing that when I hear you say that, the word that immediately comes to mind is like authenticity, right? I think what people really want and kind of demand now is they want someone that's authentic. I think when you stream your flight sims and show your videos from flying and post your Instagrams of you doing the flight lessons and help people figure out how air traffic control works and do all these different steps, and everything kind of feeds into this one thing. I think the only universal in all of these is this is really authentically you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you love it, right? You love it. And I think that's if there's a key to success, it's be authentically yourself. Like regardless of if you think what you like is cool or uncool. I mean, I build Gundam models on my stream, and people get a kick out of it, right?
Yeah, well, and we've talked about that. Like, those are your most successful
they're my best streams. They're my best
because one, you found a gap in the market, and I think there's a huge like ASRM or whatever, ASMR or whatever kind of aspect to it, where there's like, it's kind of soothing to watch somebody build something like that. It's like a relaxation thing. But there's also like, no one else is really doing that. You're super into it. You're, kind of walking people through various, challenges with the puzzle that you've, like, how do I get this thing, in there right? And you're kind of, they can follow along with you, and there's, a goal that you're reaching to.
And I think people want you to like, they want you to help them take the leap, even if it's a small leap. You know what I mean? Like building models for me or for you, doing flight sims and eventually airplane lessons. That's a lot bigger investment, right, for someone. Yeah. But regardless, I think everyone's looking for someone to tell them like you can do this. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I've
always wanted to build one of those. Let's see, this guy, like, let's see how hard it is.
That's what
I
mean. Like,
this guy.
Yeah, it's not crazy, right? It's in your hands. Like, these things are very possible. You open the box. There's nothing scary inside of it. There's clear-cut instructions. Yeah. The tools are pretty simple. You don't got to go crazy. You get out what you put in. That's what I always tell people, right? Like, if you want to spend 20 hours on it, you can. Yeah. If you want to spend 2 hours, you can. But
so if you even have like a tiny bit of curiosity for that, and you see a stream of someone building one, of course you're going to click that.
Yeah, you have to. Or if you have thought about taking flight lessons, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, this guy's doing it, and he uses this $40, $50 program to do it with. Like, I could do $50.
Oh, and I can't tell you how many Pilot Edge subscriptions that I've like single-handedly sold. Like, the controllers,
need an affiliates link.
Yeah,
for that,
like
buddy.
they thank me all the time. Like, dude, Bill, we can't believe how many people like we've got signed up because of you. And not that, I mean, there's a lot of flight sim streamers that are way more popular than I am and way more, connected with that. But just in my very modest stream, and just for context, I started in February, and I have 5 Jesus, that's my YouTube thing, which is pathetic. Like 360 followers. And like have, a dozen subscribers. So, I mean, it's tiny, it's minuscule in, like even some of the top tier flight sim guys, who have thousands and thousands of followers, but considering the time frame, it's grown pretty rapidly.
Yeah. And it's like, and they're all important. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. Like, it's people always want to like talk about their numbers. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's so easy to like obtusify like what you're actually talking about. But if you've got 60 people or 100 people or 200 people that are really interested in following you and seeing your content, like calling that anything but successful is disrespectful in a way. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
and the percentage. I mean, you know that the follower number doesn't mean anything. It's the viewer, the average viewer count. Then I have 300 and whatever followers, but 30 plus average viewers, and I can name almost all of them. And that's, part of the personal side to it. It's like hey, what's up, Iowa Scotsman? Like, I know he's going to be there. Like, I know Finbar is going to be there. I know, they're in the Discord. Like, I know Grizz is going to show up. I know
Chili's going to come by.
I know Chili's going to stop by and say what's up. And they all, like, I know what parts of the world they live in. I know what what planes they've flown, or, RC Flyer, has just had his second lesson, and he's, he just landed for the first time, and it's like, it's so crazy. And this is a very specific example. And obviously, like, the simulator world has the connection to the real world, which makes some of this kind of more applicable. I don't know, if someone's like really into Minecraft, like, I don't know what advice I could give to that person that just really likes playing Minecraft. And maybe you might just have to face reality of, like, it's oversaturated, man. Like, if you want to be a streamer and you're playing Fortnite, like, you're facing an uphill battle. Like, you just are.
Well, like, I'll take so there's a book that came out probably 10 years ago now called The Game. Have you ever heard of it before? By Neil Strauss. It was like a pickup artist book, right? It's actually a really good book.
Okay.
But in that
Is it
book,
like an indie developer that he...
No, he wrote for Rolling Stone and ended up doing the pickup artist community got really big. It's such a scummy thing to think about now. But the pickup artist community was like this big thing. VH1 had shows about pickup artists at the time. And he ended up...
forgive my ignorance, but like pickup artists meaning like picking up girls?
Picking up girls was their like thing. And they would like... It's where the terms like negging became popular or peacocking was a big thing, right? It's very scummy. It's super...
Pickup artists.
Super scummy.
Love that.
But the thing...
It
really
is an
good,
artistry.
And there's very good psychological takeaways from the book because there's a very analytical side to the book. It's actually really good. But one of the things that he says, it's like kind of a human nature thing, is you can be a part of any tribe that you want as long as you're the chief. Right? And I think that kind of goes to what you're saying about Minecraft or Fortnite or whatever, right? Yeah. You're not going to be the chief, right? And unless you can find a way to spin it into a different thing where you are the chief, you're not going to be the chief. And if you can't be the chief, you're in the wrong tribe. Yeah.
And it sounds like really defeatist to say that, but it really, and this is coming from like a PR marketing sales perspective, like, my professional background speaking, where I do love it, but I also recognize that I've lucked out that that's what I love. And if it was something bigger or more saturated, it wouldn't be trending in the direction that it is right now. Like, if you're really into like racing cars, I haven't really looked into like the Twitch, racing sim community, but I bet you it's bigger than the flight sim community. But like, if you have a car and you want to focus on that car and you have some like real world connections to that, like, that would be sweet.
I mean, even if you want to be like, the chief of Forza 6 drifting, you know what I mean? Like you can slice it any way you like. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be the king of racing sims. You can be...
Maybe you're an architect enthusiast and you like really love like mid-century modern architecture or something, and you like playing Minecraft. Like, combine them. Be the only guy that's like recreating Frank Lloyd Wright buildings on Minecraft
era houses.
Yeah, and like spin it in some way that you can get someone that's interested in something very specific, because again, you want them to come back and get other architects in there.
Yeah, for sure.
get other people that like the stuff that you do, that know more than you do. And that's what I've noticed, especially in the flight sim community, is there's a lot of people that don't know what the hell they're talking about. They've never flown a plane. They're just flight simmers, and not to degrade, that there's nothing wrong with that, but they act like they're the last word in aviation. I am never going to know everything there is to know about aviation, which is the best part about aviation in my mind. But I always take the viewpoint in my streams of being the student in there. Like I am the puppet in the stream. Like, you guys tell me what I need to be doing in this. And obviously, like, the better I'm getting and the further I get in my real world training, I'm adding more and more of my own knowledge and experience in there, so I can kind of help people that are, less experienced than I am. But I take the viewpoint of, like, am I doing this right, guys? Like, where do I look for this? Like, last night I did a flight and I couldn't find the approach frequency for Las Vegas. Like, I was going from Grand Canyon into Las Vegas. I could not find on the VFR chart where the approach controller that I need to contact is. And I'm like asking chat, like, guys, where the hell is this frequency? Like, I can't find anywhere. Like in LA, I know exactly where it is, and it says contact 1354, approach control. I could not find that on there. And to be humble enough to, like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I think that's just like a life lesson, right? Like,
yeah.
Like the embracing curiosity and trying to be a student of life or whatever you're trying to pursue. Like, it's so ignorant to feel like you know enough. You know what I mean? Like, it really is. Okay, we've been going for quite a while here. We got to wrap it up. Anything in closing, Bill, you want to say to the universe before we shut this down?
What do you think the percentage of people that are still listening to this episode 1 podcast from the beginning that are still here?
I think I think it's pretty good.
You think we kept them along?
I've really enjoyed it.
So let us know in the comments section wherever you may be listening to this or listening/watching this.
Yeah, give us a 10 out of 10.
Let us know what you think.
7 stars out of 7.
So what we wanted to originally do is make this, about tech, because obviously we're in the tech industry and a lot of what we do, is surrounded by technology, computers, games, and all that stuff. This kind of was more about sports and, like, streaming, which is totally fine. But let us know what you guys think moving forward. We want to definitely touch on some tech news. I mean, there's been some news in the last couple of weeks that
some real shakeups
that we're, like, dying to talk about, but we wanted to at least introduce you guys to us and what makes us tick. And like I said with the stream, it's probably going to be more about our interaction than it is going to be about the content that we're talking about.
Yeah, but that's good fun.
But it's super fun. So I don't care. I mean, I like talking with you, so we could shoot the shit about literally anything. We'll try to keep it as, like, tech focused as possible when possible, but this is just we should just call this thing, like, Tangent Fest or something.
We really could have gone for another hour. We were going to do 30 minutes, and I looked down at the timer, and I was at 54 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like,
wrap it up.
Yeah, we gotta shut this thing down.
Holy crap, is it really that time?
Yeah, it's really that time. It's really been like an hour since we came in here.
Jesus, I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. But yeah, like Bill said, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, how you feel about it. Yeah, and that should do it for us. Thank you guys if you made it this far. We really appreciate it. We appreciate anybody that takes the time to
we love it,
to hang out, and God bless.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.